Hi, everybody. John McElroy here, talking all things automotive. Today, I'm talking with Chris Harto. He's the manager of sustainability advocacy at Consumers Reports, and he's got some pretty interesting numbers based on these fees that some members of Congress want to put on EVs. And Chris, they're talking about putting a $250 a year fee on every EV. And that just sounds crazy to me compared to what people pay in gas taxes. And explain the thinking behind all this if you can.
Yeah, great question, John. So typically, the typical American tends to spend somewhere between $70 and $100 a year in gas tax, uh, depending on what vehicle they buy. Um, and these electric vehicle fees that have been proposed are way out of proportion with what regular gas drivers uh, pay. Part of the issue um, is that the gas tax, the federal gas tax hasn't been increased for since 1993. So we're going on 33 years since the gas tax has been increased. And the cost of building roads has gone way up. So we need to fill that gap. The issue is that just, putting an excessive tax on the roughly 2% of Americans that drive electric vehicles isn't going to fill that gap alone.
Yeah, now supposedly these people in Congress that are proposing this are saying it's all about fairness because EVs don't pay any gasoline taxes, ergo, they don't support road maintenance. And I get that. But why is it so lopsided if they're trying to be fair?
Yeah, you'd have to ask them. But we've sort of seen this in some states as well, where the uh, fees for electric vehicles are way out of proportion with what gasoline vehicle drivers are paying. No idea where that's coming from, but it's clearly unfair. Yes, EV drivers should be paying into road maintenance. There's ways to do that are much more proportional and more fair.
Yeah, and obviously, what they're trying to address here with this legislation is the National Highway Trust Fund has got a shortfall. It's not raising the amount of money that it needs. But, have you calculated what if you taxed every EV starting this afternoon with that $250? Would it make up for the shortfall?
We haven't made that exact calculation, but it wouldn't come anywhere close. When we dug into the numbers on what's causing that shortfall, um, the vast majority of it is the fact that the cost to build and maintain roads has gone up twice the pace of inflation over the past roughly 30 years. And we hadn't increased the revenues going into that that trust fund. And so no amount of tax only on EV drivers is going to fix that.
What do you think would take it? What would it take to fix it?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we don't our report that we put out earlier this week, we didn't necessarily put out an exact this is the answer. Ultimately, more money is going to be have to be raised, which means probably everyone has to pay a little bit more. But when thinking about ways to do that, we looked at five consumer but facing principles that we think are important for policymakers to keep in mind. Whether that the user pays proportional to the impact that they have on the system, that there's fairness between consumer and commercial vehicles. So we're not subsidizing Amazon and Walmart and all those commercial vehicles driving through the highways and neighborhoods. Making it easy to collect the money. Don't no lots of bureaucracy that people have to navigate to pay their taxes. Protect people's privacy. No tracking where people's cars are everywhere, and sending that information to the government, and revenue stability. That whatever system we put in place right now that we put in place to fix this problem can maintain revenue stability over time, regardless of the type of vehicles that people buy, and how much inflation occurs.
Yeah. Chris, they're also talking about adding $100 to of a fee to every hybrid that's sold. What's your calculations on that? Is that also out of balance?
Yeah, again, it's again way out of balance. Again, the average typical gas vehicles on the road will pay somewhere between 70 and $100 a year. So the hybrid starts, the flat fee starts at paying more than a full size pickup in most cases, and then they still have to pay gas tax on all the gas they do use. So it is still disproportionate to what a non-hybrid owner would pay in gas tax.
Yeah, and you also found that, our roads really do need repairing. You guys came up with a figure that's very interesting, that poor roads are costing motorists $725 a year, and, uh, wasted time and fuel go into that. How
Yeah,
explain
so
that.
so I'll say that those aren't Consumer Reports numbers. Those are numbers we found in doing research. Other groups have done the deep research on that. But in general, poor roads do lead to congestion. They lead to more potholes and things, cause flat tires, damage to your suspension. There's all sorts of ways in which uh failure to keep up our road infrastructure adds cost to consumers.
A lot of people complain that EVs are damaging roads out of proportion because they're so heavy. You guys don't quite see it that way, do you?
I mean, weight definitely matters, and should, again, when we say pay proportional to the damage that the impact you're having on roads. Factoring weight into a calculation on what a vehicle pays is a reasonable thing to do. Within the range of light duty vehicles, the difference between, say, a you know Miata and a Ford F-150, the difference in damage isn't massive. Really, a lot of the big damage from weight comes from the big, heavy commercial vehicles, and especially the Class 8, big semi trucks are the ones that are putting a lot of damage on the roads. There is a bit of difference between small light duty and large light duty vehicles, but it's not massive.
Mhm. Of course, nobody really wants to tax the big heavy trucks too much, right? Because it's just gonna drive up the cost of everything that they're carrying.
That's the argument that is made by people who own big heavy trucks. But it is, if they're imposing that cost, I would rather pay the cost if I'm buying that product than pay the cost no matter what out of my tax dollars.
Got it. And then, there's been talk, I mean, for several decades now, of the US going to a pay per mile way of supporting roads, which makes all the sense in the world to me. But then people are worried about Big Brother over their shoulder monitoring where they go. You touched on this a little bit earlier. Go into more detail on that.
Yeah, I think ultimately we probably might need to move to something that's more towards a pay per mile type of system. Certainly gets away from, with flat fees, you're charging, the grandmother that drives to church once on Sunday and to the grocery store the same amount that you're charging a Waymo Robo taxi that might be driving 100,000 miles a year, or a ride hail driver that might drive 40 or 50,000 miles a year the same. And so you do need to take into account how much individuals are driving. Pay per mile there, I think we can probably figure out ways to do this without having to track every place your car is going and all of that. Every car is equipped with an odometer. It's illegal. It's federally illegal to tamper with those odometers. I think at least it's gotten a lot harder to tamper with those. And so I think there's ways to do it just through, potentially an annual odometer reading of some kind, or something like that that doesn't require some kind of advanced technology tracking your car all over the place. Um, yeah.
Of course, everybody with a smartphone in their pocket or their purse is being tracked by their phone. Why do you think there's this, this gut reaction to, I don't want my car to track me. Well, I've got a smartphone in my pocket.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it goes back to the fact of Americans view, many Americans view their cars as integral to their freedom. And, this connection between your car and freedom, and the idea of somebody monitoring and tracking you while you're in your vehicle just feels wrong to people. Even though, yes, we all signed up and are carrying around detailed trackers with us in our pockets pretty much everywhere we go.
So, what do you think? You're talking about reading the odometer. Do you think there could be some sort of Bluetooth odometer that could easily be scanned?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, probably there's lots of different ways that you could go about this that is sort of a point check in the odometer versus kind of a continuous stream of information and detail, tracking of GPS locations and all that. I'm sure some smart people can figure out a way to either read an odometer remotely or set up, even yeah, it's maybe a hassle, but setting up an odometer check that you have to do, once every 1 or 2 years to figure out how much tax you owe when you go register your car at the DMV or something. That
So, going back to Congress, this legislation has been proposed. Where does it stand? Where's it going? What do you think the result's going to be?
Yeah, it's a great question. No idea. Right now Congress is in the process of pulling together their every 5 years they have to pull together a transportation bill that sets out the funding for all of our federal transportation funding. They do this every 5 years. They're going, it's always a back and forth because of the makeup of our Congress. Both parties have to sort of come together and agree on something. Um, so there's a lot of time. The deadline theoretically is the end of September. They can always push that down the road a little bit. Something will get done eventually because we need to fund our transportation system. But exactly what ends up in that final bill is anyone's guess at this point.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Chris Harto, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Yeah, great to talk with you, John.
Do you want to see the automotive industry grow and thrive? So do we. That's why we dedicate our shows to providing the people in the industry with important data and information and access to the people who are driving the industry forward with the guests that we bring on our shows and the interviews that we conduct. But we need your help to continue doing it. That's why I'm asking you to support Autoline with a YouTube or Patreon membership. It'll get you extra content that will be available only to members, but it will especially make sure that you and Autoline continue to drive the automotive industry forward.